What's up, folks? Give me a second. I am just going to start up the chat here. I just want to do a quick update on Duel Disaster. So let me make sure all of this stuff is running. So, all the chats seem to be going, and the stream is running. Let's make sure it's muted. This should be muted too. Okay. All right. Well, this is an update for Duel Disaster Tracker. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I wanted to do. Just show you guys why I've been quiet for the last couple weeks. I've been working on some UI stuff. Also, I entirely removed the splash screen from the game because the whole point was I wanted to make sure that the game starts up. From the very beginning, I've always wanted the game to just start. I hate having, you know, splash screens that take forever. Things that just, you know, you have to kind of hit the button just to get through with them. Most of those things tend to be licensing agreement things, so you have to worry about things like, for example, Unity. When you use Unity, I'm not sure if you have to do this with Unreal or any of those other engines, but when you're a dude like me who has to rely on things like engines that other people have created and taken the time and put their, you know, life into making a game engine, they have to be paid for it somehow, and if it's not through your subscription, you have to put their logo on your title screen. So that's one of the restrictions, or not restrictions, I'm sorry, one of the requirements that you need to do to publish on like a, you know, a console or whatever. So I basically, if you guys have played the game before, you've noticed that there was a splash screen. A lot of you guys have played the game after the fact, but for the most part there was like a slight splash screen in there, and it takes anywhere from like 5 to 6 seconds to start up the game, and again, it's just a requirement that they kind of force you to do, and fuck that. So I decided to take that out and just let the game start completely, and my price to pay for that is to leave the Unity logo up on the title screen for this whole duration. That's a small price to pay to get you guys into the game as soon as possible. So if you notice, watch, I'll quit the game and start it back up just so you can see how quickly the game basically starts up. It's pretty rad. No more splash screen. And even this, if you notice, still takes a while, but you would have to wait through that, then still wait through all of the title cards or whatever. And then, you know, I used to have a thing where all you did is like tap a button and it would go away. But that's a lot of work for nothing too. So, you know, you're going to stay here at the title screen. This is obviously for console purposes. When you hit the button, this is where, for example, the PlayStation does it differently. The PlayStation will actually already detect that you're logged in. So this is just kind of like this press any button thing is a check. So for example, on the Xbox One, you would tap this, and if I'm not mistaken, it brings up the profile, you know, like, hey, who's playing this game? You choose your profile, you start up the game. So yeah, I told you guys I would kind of get in depth on a lot of this stuff. So this is one of those streams. So yeah, the game starts up now. You're in. You're ready to go. Obviously, I still don't have, you know, all these other options enabled yet because that's still going to take more work. But that's not. It has nothing to do with gameplay. It has nothing to do with graphics or anything like that. So it's things I'm not focusing on right now because it's not. It's something I could do later that would be kicked in, and it takes time, but it's not time I want to dedicate right now. Because that's all has nothing to do with gameplay. That's my #1 priority right now. So not much has changed here outside of, if you guys have been in the Discord at all, you've noticed that I've talked about bringing the draw calls down from 3,000 all the way to 300, and that is just from my ignorance as a game developer, game designer, is that I had no idea that a lot of the stuff I was doing was pretty much careless. So there's, I think I went into this in the last stream, where even just on this title screen alone, the walls in the back, this whole room was being called multiple times. Like, so when the GPU renders the game, and again, I'm not 100% fully like versed on how this works, but my buddy Zach and my buddy Ivan have explained on how draw calls work and stuff, so that's kind of what helped me learn this. The GPU is basically drawing this whole scene, but it draws, the way I was doing it before is all of these objects, the ships, Audrey, the dude, the speakers, the TV, all of this stuff was multiple pieces inside of each piece. So the ship itself was being, the two ships were being drawn in as 4 pieces each, and then you still had to draw the color in, and then you still had to draw the shadows in, and that was just one ship. So then you have the other ship, then you have the console. All of that stuff is just being drawn in multiple times. So what I ended up doing here was I optimized it by, my buddy Ivan recommended this tool called Easy Combine, which basically lets you take all of the mesh, the multiple meshes that make up, say for example, the ship. It combined it into one mesh, and it basically just became a lot simpler to draw, and the draw calls just dropped dramatically. There's a lot of other stuff I did inside the game too, and I think that's where most of the performance comes from, because when you start to have chaos, which is having all the multiple fireballs and everything coming at you, yeah, that's where the frame rate dropped dramatically, mostly on consoles. And right now the PS4 version is the one I've kind of been working on most consistently, and I'll explain that at a later date. But yeah, so a lot of those draw calls have been dropped. So let's go ahead and start up the game here. Also, I've added some audio cues for those of you guys who have played it, say like at XPO or whatever. I finally added some audio cues to the beginning here, and also here, notice the music's not going anymore. So that the music is only going to kick in once you start the game. So if you leave it idling here, there's actually a sound that's missing here. It's not super hardcore or anything. It's just the sound of like the fire crackling and stuff like that. It's a real subtle sound that I just haven't written in the code for. But originally the music would kick in here. But now what you do is, you know, as always, you still just kind of go to the center of the map. I'm not sure if it comes across here on the stream from you guys watching or whatever, but the performance has just gotten so much better, and the frame rate is a lot smoother, and I say that right as everything starts to hitch, right? But also, yeah, so this build is not the Steam build. It is the PC build, but it's not, I haven't pushed it to Steam yet. So down at the bottom, if you guys aren't familiar with it yet, that's the in-game leaderboard, which shows you the score that you want to beat. So right now it doesn't have anything on there because it's not connecting to Steam, so it's not, there's no leaderboards to pull. So that's kind of like a you know, placeholder kind of stuff. But yeah, there's some hitches there. That might be related to my backups running on the PC there. But yeah, so a lot of this stuff in game. So that's kind of new there. Also, is the weak link has been, I made it a lot more emphasized so people pay more attention to it. Before it was kind of just, it was a lot smaller, so it was a lot easier to miss. Also, oh, so this is one of the things I've been working on over the weekend. So I'm gonna purposely run into this fireball here. So now your health bar is a straight up heart, like instead of just a kind of simple bar with text or whatever. And also, so like now when you get hit, right, it shows you that's your damage bar. You took 15% damage. Same thing with this guy. So now 16% damage because I actually boosted there at the last second. I want to see if I can do when you're protected. So for those of you who may have missed it, when you're on a resource now, you actually don't take damage anymore. And that's kind of, it was a way to incentivize people to do the two things at once, but not feel like they're 100% always like just penalized for something, right? So like, when you're on a resource over here, my whole pitch has always been line up your shot on the left-hand side. So line up your shot over here, hold the trigger, and then follow the arrows on the right side. So that way you can not pay attention to the left. You know, so long as you're getting points, line up your shot again, get to this guy, focus on the right. So get here. Now that you're on the resource, you can actually pay attention to this side. Notice I took a hit, but I captured the resource at the same time. So I actually did take damage there. So a lot of this stuff is still, you know, yeah, it's also really hard to do while you're talking, but, hey, what's up, Blake? What's up, everybody? Cat on the keyboard. Yeah, I've had that happen to me before. Yeah, so again, you know, if you guys have any questions about what you see or whatever, if any of you guys are new to the stream, this is a dual hand disaster tracker. And it is on Steam Early Access right now. And this is just basically an update on the development cycle so far. I do have an announcement to do, but I will have that up tomorrow. I can't actually announce it yet. That's out of my control. I need to wait for the other party to announce it. It's been something that I've kind of been working towards for the last couple years. And to finally be part of it is, yeah, super rewarding. So anyway, yeah, so that was the audio cue in here. There's now that audio cue that lets you know, hey, I'm in here, something's going on. I'm still debating whether to add one to, because you can see the yellow bar starts to fill up, and when it gets completely filled up, obviously for those of you who know, that means the Ring of Fire is now coming in, what I call the Russian firewall. So yeah, if the Russian firewall comes in, you get taken out. You try again in 2020. I'm sorry, you just started another game. Yeah, stupid joke. So, okay, let's restart mission. Just kind of want to go over some of the stuff that has changed from the last build, and that has been mostly it. So that's a bug there. Obviously, I need to fix that. Basically, what happens here is your BFP and your boost are bars on the right-hand side now. So before, they were like this circular thing around the ship. It was super generic. Again, it's always been placeholder. But for now, and it's still kind of a work in progress. I haven't really finalized it yet. But the health bar has been something that I really am kind of focusing on now. But that, for example, will go away the second I pick up a part, because that will let it detect that I don't have the BFP yet. I might be wrong on this. Let's go ahead and test this. Cool. Okay, so it's supposed to go away because when you're not using the BFP, that bar shouldn't show up. So for example, right now, if I tap the right trigger once, it starts to charge up and it cools down. So if I don't fully fill it up, then it's not gonna fill up, right? But obviously I'm getting there. Let's see. So I'll show you guys what happens when you do. You fill it up completely, you blow off the BFP, and it's, you know. So I don't have any parts, so that's not, okay, I know how to fix that. So this is awesome. Like, I'm actually catching bugs on the stream, which is pretty rad. So, P-bar stays active. Right. Okay, just wanted to make sure there's nothing going on in the chat. So yeah, okay, let's go ahead and pick up another part. And again, for those of you guys who have played it, you'll notice that when the Russian firewall comes in, the way to push it away is to blow off the BFP, which is again what I was talking about with the bars here. So now that I have a boost, also that's represented on the right hand side. So you notice it starts to fill up. I don't want to overfill it. Because that will blow off a BFP. So here's one of the things that I did in terms of the UI, and it makes sense to me. I'm not 100% sure if it'll make sense to other people, but when you're boosting, if you completely fill up your boost, or if you overheat it, basically, you blow off a BFP, so that's what that is. It's showing you that you're getting to that. And obviously, when it's filled up and you've overheated it, you can't use it anymore, so it waits. Okay, now I have it again. And yeah, the health bar is actually working pretty well. So all of these guys are enemies that I've let pass me on the left-hand side. So if I'm not killing the trackers on the left, if I'm not destroying the left, they will come to the right and try to destroy the right. So there's actually something you can do to take care of them also. So come here into your safe space. Just like any safe space though, it's not entirely safe. If you stay in there too long, you'll get sucked in by it, so you'll get destroyed by a safe space. You know, stay in there too long. Also, yeah, so a lot of the bonuses that you get from staying in and having low health and all that kind of stuff have been moved off from the right ship, and they're now in the center of the screen. So now if you notice in the center of the screen right up here, it said low health bonus. So all of your bonuses that stack are now in the center of the screen. And again, that's also still a placeholder. It hasn't been finalized yet. I want to add some animations and stuff like that to it. But it is getting there. And obviously I'm still aiming to have the Switch version be the first version. The reason for that is the Switch doesn't have achievements built in as far as like, you know, like Xbox Live and the trophy system on the PS4. So I don't have to design those. Yeah, so I don't have to necessarily wait to design those to get the game done and ready or whatever. Which kind of takes a lot of that time that I would take designing that, because I really want achievements and trophies to matter. And I can just kind of, you know, release the Nintendo version once I have the trophies and all that stuff finalized, which I've always considered a secondary thing, but still a big part of the game. I could easily, and I've talked to my Nintendo rep about this, I could easily go into the Nintendo version and kind of like program them like in-game and then just kind of do them that way if I really wanted to, which would be... it would also just depend. Like, a lot of people just kind of want to play it on the go. You're not gonna play it as hardcore as you would if you were at home, I would assume. That's what I would think. So yeah, you probably wouldn't put as much time into trying to get achievements as you would if you were home. But yeah, Blake, all the bars fill up in a circle like a clock. Will the new health bar? Huh. So, good question, Blake. I actually thought about that. So Blake asks, for those of you who aren't on the Facebook chat, all the bars fill up in a circle. That has actually changed, obviously, from this, if you saw. All the bars fill up in a circle like a clock. Will the new health bar do the same instead of draining vertically like it does now? So right now it still drains vertically. It still goes from top to bottom. I was actually, and it's an easy thing. Honestly, it's just like a really quick, like a tick on the filling of the bar, whether you want to do it vertical or horizontal, circle, or whatever. I haven't actually done the circle, but I totally could. I might look at that just to see if it looks better, right? Like, I think some people might see that. It's just like if I made it like a Zelda type thing where it's like a quarter of each of the heart would go away. That might be kind of cool, but it might be extra work that I don't know personally if it would actually be worth the work to put into something like that. But right now it does just kind of drain vertically, so it goes from top to bottom. And your first hit, actually, you can't tell that it went down too far. And that's fine because it's your first hit. It's not like it's going to matter that much. But every hit after that, you do definitely see the health bar. So I'll go ahead and start the game and see if you notice that. But yeah, obviously, like I mentioned, the boost and stuff like that are no longer circular on the ship itself. So that's an update. And I'll be pushing this update here tonight, man, so you can try this out. That bug that I found is not a massive bug, so I can fix that and push that again also. For the most part, this has changed enough from the build that you've played, Blake, because I know I haven't pushed a build to Steam in a while. It's been at least, I don't know, 2.5 weeks maybe. So yeah, watch, I'll show you just in terms of, so you get hit, notice you can barely tell that you did take the damage. Obviously the percentage will tell you, you took 15%, but obviously there you can tell it's draining. I kind of like that look as opposed to the circular or the, 360 of the health bar. But yeah, I'm not 100% like married to it yet. So. Everything else is still circular though, because I think it still fits. It fits this, like a straight bar in there. I actually started with straight bars on the material and the parts and stuff, and it looked really generic. The circle actually kind of makes sense. It's visually satisfying. Actually, I have a really bad habit of playing the game sometimes instead of actually kind of looking for stuff. So let me see if I've actually fixed something here. So if I run out of Link on the left, I'm supposed to black out. Okay, so if I black out entirely. Okay, cool. So yeah, this works also. So yeah, it's Link lost in big red letters. Before it was a lot smaller. Some people wouldn't notice that. And you are losing 10% of your score up in the top left, up in the center. So every time you black out on the left side, because there have been people who've asked, well, why would I want to, why can't I just black that guy out, focus on the right, get some stuff, bring him back, and then do that, whatever. For those of you who have played it like at events or whatever, then you learn the hard way why you're not supposed to do that. So if you do black out entirely, you lose 10% of your score. You lessen the chance of material being spawned because you're not killing trackers, which spawn material on the right. There are still ways to get material, obviously, because I don't want to. I'm not an asshole. But at the same time, the longer you stay with that left side deactivated, the Russian firewall will also come for you as well. So you got to be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I think that's pretty much all outside of some under the hood kind of stuff. That's really all I've changed since the last build. So let me just try and just do a quick run, see if I can get to tier 3 real quick. And if you guys have any questions, the chat is up, and I appreciate you asking that, by the way, Blake. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and do a straight run here real quick. Also, while I have people watching, I am gonna be doing my extra live stream this weekend. Well, not weekend actually. It's gonna be Thursday and Friday. Thursday starting at 8 a.m. with my buddy Barry. We're just gonna play games for 24 hours, but it's gonna be broken into 2-hour chunks, 2-day chunks. So it's gonna be 2 12-hour chunks. We'll be starting on Thursday at 8 a.m. For those of you who aren't familiar with Extra Life, Extra Life is basically a charity for El Paso, well, for children's hospitals all over the country. But when you sign up for it, you do it locally, so it's for El Paso Children's Hospital. And any of the donations you make are going directly to El Paso Children's Hospital, so you're helping local kids who need the help. You can donate now if you want. I wasn't actually expecting to kind of talk about this today, so I don't have the link up, but you can actually just go to extra-life.org /participant/JC Salinas. If you go to my Facebook, it's also on there. And you can donate right now if you want. And any of those donations are greatly appreciated. I'll also possibly be having some giveaways in terms of like Steam codes and stuff like that on Thursday and Friday. So let me know. I'm gonna reach out to some of my buddies in the gaming community and see if they want to give out some Steam keys for their games.
Repair successful.
But yeah, the last couple years for Extra Life have been pretty rad. It's really funny that I've had, when I show the game at events and stuff, like I've had, you know, streamers come up and say, oh, this would be a really good game to stream, but I don't know, maybe I guess because like you can kind of get in a zone where like I think when you're not talking about the game, when I'm personally not talking about the game and just playing it, I tend to zone out and my mind just kind of goes with it. Like I can talk mindlessly about stuff, but when I'm trying to explain stuff in the game, that's a no-go. There's the Russian firewall. So here's actually something I've added. The longer you can keep the walls coming in and keep them out, you actually get a bonus for that. So I've actually been toying with the idea. Right now, the bonus is applied based on how long you keep them up. Oh, Matt Hoots, what's up, man? Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's running a lot better, too. Thanks to some optimizations and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing is you get a bonus right now if the walls are coming in on you. The longer, so yeah, at the very beginning, I think they take about 10 seconds to come in on you. And at max 10 seconds, you get like a, I don't know, I think it's like a 100-time bonus for enemies that you're killing on the left. Once you get down to 5 seconds, I think it's, I don't know, 1,000, and then once you get down to about maybe 3 seconds, you're getting 10,000 time multiplier. So if you're killing enemies on the left and the walls are right in on you, yeah, you could really get some points racked up there. So I'm trying to get to the point where I can show you guys the chaos, because that's when like the Russian firewall really comes into play, because you can really push it and just be mindless on the left-hand side. So. Right now I'm just trying to focus on at least having my extraction. Again, for those of you who aren't familiar, extraction is how you lead with your score. So, I do not have low health bonus, but I do have low health, I know, because I saw that earlier. People have also asked why I don't show the health bar all the time. The reason being is back in the day, okay, so back in the day, I used to have your health bar up at all times, and people weren't even paying attention to it. There were people who would ask me, like, hey, where's my health bar? And I'm like, it's right there. So my point was that I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to show it to you when you actually take damage. And that seemed to, it works. It keeps the screen nice and clean. So now that you notice it has the hold, you know, for those of you who have played it, you know what that is. That is obviously new in terms of the UI. It's now the heart shield. So yeah, you basically activate your shield. So there's the Russian firewall. Notice I have a lot more opportunity to get points. Push. Nice. Okay, so you can still be really careless though, and you got to be real careful. Your multiplier is now in the center of the screen. That's really new, I think. And so long as you're killing enemies with the repeater is the only weapon that will chain the multiplier. However, if you notice the voids in the background, if you shoot a missile at them, that will instantly chain the multiplier. So that's also a really solid way to keep it going. Oh shit. Okay, so see, so that is a hitch that I think might be related to my backups. I'm not 100% sure. I might just push this and see if people can afford some of that chaos. That might also be connected to some of the... but yeah, outside of that, see, it's running great. Granted, it is chaos. So if you notice, my right side is super blacking out, and the reason being is I can only take one more hit and I'm gone, but I'm getting my sliver bullet bonus. So just for the fuck of it, oh shit, I actually can't leave it. Alright, let's activate this because that helps. And what I'm gonna do here really try and focus on that. I want to try and get to tier 2. Okay. Yeah, so that's intense. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for now, folks. I just kind of wanted to show you guys the updates. I'm going to push this here real soon. By all means, as always, oh, hold on. Blake has a thing here. Oh, yeah, you might have seen this on the review already, but I have an old display that does not support 1080p. Any plans to add support for other resolutions soon? Oh, awesome, dude. So, yeah, that's actually one of the things that I need to work on, which is getting the settings. So watch, let's go back here. Yeah, so the settings here. Thanks, Serge. I see you there in the comments, man. So Oblivion Wielder, who is a buddy of mine from South, he says, OMG, he's on the YouTube chat, says, OMG, that's chaotic. That was actually nothing, man. I wasn't paying too much attention, but he says looking great, so thanks, man. That means a lot. Yeah, so Blake asks on the Facebook chat, he asked if he has an old monitor that doesn't support 1080p. Out of curiosity, man, what resolutions does it support? And he's asking if there's going to be any support for 1080p here soon. There will be. I honestly don't. All my monitors are 1080p. Actually, I think I have one that is 1650 by 1080, or no, 1680 by 1050, which is an odd resolution. So I would assume that one would also only support 720p. There's some scaling things that I need to figure out. I'm not 100% sure how to figure that out yet. 1680 by 1050. Okay, shit. There you go. No, man. That's actually, it's solid. Like I had 2 monitors like that for quite a while. But yeah, once you get to 1080, it's a little helpful. And then, you know, you get some asshole who has a 4K TV, who I'm sure, or a 4K monitor, who I'm sure is gonna, or 21 by 9. You know those guys. That resolution's probably gonna be intense. I would love to support that. As a matter of fact, there's a game on Steam that I saw that's like a, you know, like a twin stick kind of shooter thing, or just a shmup. Really, it's not even a twin stick shooter, but that game supported dual monitors. So, you know, you had your ship on the left monitor, whatever, at the far left of the screen, and it went all the way across. So that was super rad. I'm pretty sure that's probably like a 21 by 9, but in dual monitor as opposed to just like a single. I would actually love to do that. That would be really, really cool. But yeah, I haven't put much thought into it. Outside of the settings will allow for multiple resolutions. I just need to figure out. Again, another reason why I'm kind of focused on the Switch version first and foremost, because I don't need to worry about that kind of stuff, and I want to make sure that people who do support that kind of stuff. So my buddy Ryan actually posted in the Facebook chat, 21 by 9 ratio people make me stressed out. So my buddy Ryan's actually working on a game called Crystal Flux, and it looks really fucking cool. You know, if I describe it incorrectly, let me know, man. But it looks like a kind of like a futuristic kind of artsy snowboarding, like a, I guess 1080, if that's what it was on like a Nintendo 64 is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of your game, dude. But it would seem like 21 by 9 in your style game would actually look really cool too, because his art style is really kind of like crystally, well, yeah, Crystal Flux, like crystally, and like, yeah, it looks legit. But to have like a really wide view of that art style would be pretty rad. But yeah, dude, like I have no idea how to figure out resolutions and stuff like that. But luckily I have a buddy who actually coded the leaderboard system. I don't know if I've talked about this with you guys here. Yeah, well, so Pyrofire on Twitch says, what about 32 by 9 super wide screens, which actually, I'm not sure if that's exactly the ratio I was thinking about, but that's actually also another, you know, resolution ratio thing I need to think about. And, you know, 4K, like, I don't know. I've run the game in 4K on, like, my Blade Razer laptop. I don't know. I'm not fucking Digital Foundry, so I don't know if it's legitimately running at 4K, but the text is super clean and all that kind of stuff. It looks nice and crisp, like super 4K, but I don't know if that's something you need to actually code in yourself or do. I know, like, assets and stuff need to be created for stuff like that, but at the same time, it's like my assets aren't like most games where you have like a, you know, like the model of like a Lara Croft or something with like a coat that you need to like redo in 4K so you see the super textures on her shit, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know, but mine is basically just colors, like vertex colors on, you know, voxels. So that's pretty much it. I don't remember. I think that was pretty much it. So yeah, like, thank you guys for stopping by. Again, I'll be doing my extra live stream on Thursday and Friday. If you guys feel like donating, again, just go to extralife.org/participant/JC Salinas, and you can donate now if you'd like. Otherwise, stop by on Thursday and Friday and you know, chat with me and my buddy Barry. We're going to play some games, and I got my Xbox One X, so I'm going to go through some of that stuff. If you guys haven't looked into it at all, I'm going to see if it's possible to show the difference, because obviously in a stream you can't go to 4K, which is kind of like the whole Xbox One's deal, Xbox One X's deal. But I want to kind of show how Barry is a spaz. He's a spaz. So yeah, the Xbox One X does like the whole 4K thing, but it's still, so a lot of, right, yeah, okay, so now I remember you, dude. Yeah, so yeah, Barry's legit. It's obviously just joking on him. So anyways, yeah, the whole thing with the Xbox One X is you don't need a 4K TV. So a lot of friends have been asking about that. They're like, well, do I need a 4K TV? I'm like, no, not at all. I also have to remember how sometimes there was a buddy of mine who maybe like 3 years into the Xbox 360 had just figured out that, what was it? I think that the controllers were wireless somehow. He didn't know. It was something that weird that I was like, dude, 3 years into the Xbox 360 and you still aren't familiar with this. But it's because some people really do just walk into a store and pick up a system and just plug it in, you know. And sometimes I could see how, like, you know, seeing that on like an Xbox One X, you see 4K, you're like, oh fuck, okay, well I can't, no, I'm not, my TV's not gonna support this. But that's not the case. Like, the Xbox One X actually does what's called super sampling, so it'll actually up-res the game, you know, it'll render it at the highest resolution, which is 4K, depending on the game, of course. Then it'll just scale it back down, and, you know, obviously on a 1080p TV, it just kind of crisps it up a little more. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's a powerful system. It does make certain games run super smooth. Some games, you know, it just depends on the games that you're playing, I guess. But Wolfenstein 2 has been a perfect example of going from the Xbox One being the absolute shit version of that game to play to the absolute best version. Well, in terms of console, obviously, like when you go PC would be the way to go. But yeah, like Wolfenstein 2 has definitely gone that route. So that's awesome. So, you know, we'll go into that kind of stuff, and we'll be playing some stuff on the PS4 Pro also. Because my buddy Barry, like, he has an Xbox One. He's not like super into like getting the latest and all that kind of stuff. So he's really interested in checking out that kind of stuff. So we'll be going over some of that kind of stuff. Halo 5 actually takes full advantage of the 4K and 60 frames per second. So it's a rock solid 60 at 4K. So that looks really, really good. Granted, you know, Halo's art style is a lot more simplistic. Yeah. Yeah, so Barry's thing, I always call them weaknesses because, so for you guys who aren't in the Twitch chat, Pyrofire mentioned about our Berry Berry that unless you're talking about guns, then he wants the latest of those. But yeah, so my thing has always been like it's a weakness with everybody. So for example, my weakness is like video games and music. In terms of like it, you know, drains you of everything because you're always focused on having like cool shit with that kind of stuff. And with him, it's guns. So yeah, he's all about guns, and it's cool because he's taught me a lot about that stuff too. My buddy Serge, Oblivion Wielder on YouTube, says a friend of mine had their Wii U and Xbox 360 rendering at 720 until a couple of months ago before I mentioned it. There we go. That's actually what it was. It wasn't as dumb as like a controller being wireless. It was actually the resolution thing. He had no idea an Xbox 360 did HD or whatever until he got the TV. He just kind of like plugged it in, did the same thing. Yeah, so like, yeah. Wii U and 360 at 720. Well, that's fucking 720, dude. We're talking about like old school back in the day. Like this dude still had like a TV that was not rendering HD. It was like just, you know, one of those tube TVs. So that was intense. But yeah, like Xbox One X, obviously, like the resolution jump. Well, I don't want to get super into that right now, but the resolution jump is massive, but it's not as noticeable as it was from SD to HD, if that makes sense. It's kind of maybe that same jump, but yeah, I don't know. But it's still super, super rad. So we'll get into some of that stuff on Thursday and Friday. Stop on by, you know, we'll chat some and stuff. You guys know I love talking about this stuff, and even tonight I could go on forever, but I don't want to keep you guys up. I also need to kind of push this build to Steam and stuff. So I don't see any other questions or comments in the chat. But yeah, like I really do appreciate you guys stopping by. Those have been the updates to Trackher so far. I have an announcement to make that I will make as soon it's out of my control. It's on the third party or the, you know, other individuals to make that announcement, and then I can make it too. But it has been something that I've been working towards for the last couple years. When I found out about this, I just, again, it was one of those like scream down the halls kind of situation, because it's kind of like Indie Mega Booth, making it into something like this, working on a game, dropping out of school to make a video game, makes this announcement massive. And I mentioned it on the Discord, but I also I hope I didn't kind of build anyone's expectations towards something with the game necessarily, but it is a massive announcement from at least my point of view, because it's been something I've been working towards. So yeah, I will be making that tomorrow, I think. They said they were going to possibly make it Wednesday-ish, so look forward to that. Outside of that, you know, unless you guys have anything else to say, I do have multiple chats to manage, so just want to make sure I'm catching up. I know you guys are a little behind me. Outside of that, thank you guys very much for stopping by, and I guess we'll see you guys on Thursday. It'll be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., maybe even a little later, and then Friday also 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I might have some friends stop by and just kind of chat some. I did talk to my buddy Andrew, who does a podcast about video games. He might stop by. Also, my buddies Scott and PJ, the guys from Slightly Original, might stop by. And, you know, we'll see if I can get some other people on. But yeah, outside of that, again, thank you guys very much. I'm about to end this. And you guys have a good night.